Hello. Hello. How's the how's the volume? Can you guys hear me okay? Hello. Hello. How's the Can everyone hear me all right? Yeah? Cool. A lot of people watching tonight. Usually we have double the amount of people watching. So that's interesting. I wonder if it's because I'm streaming at night instead of in the morning or in the afternoon. Sweet. Okay. Well, let's start off by looking at the macro view, like we always like to do, and we'll zoom in. Let's get rid of you, and yeah. So this is very interesting here. So if you recall, for those of you guys who follow me on Twitter, I sent out a tweet about this Bollinger Band squeeze on the daily Bollinger Bands, because this is very interesting. You can see here that this little bounce in the grand scheme of things was very short-lived, and it didn't even make it above the midline of the Bollinger Bands, the daily B bands here. And what's something that's very interesting is how quickly these Bollinger Bands consolidated. This is the fastest I've seen the Bollinger Bands consolidate. Some people were being smartasses, and they're like, well, what about this one? And what about this one? No. These have consolidated tighter than this one, but this is the fastest we've seen a squeeze into a bulge into another squeeze. This consolidated super fast, and considering we're trending below the midline of the Bollinger Bands, and we haven't broken above it, this is pretty bearish, right? So we rejected the 200 EMA here, 200 EMA. Here's the 50 right here. And you see that we had a test of it right here, and ultimately we bounced off of it, and now we're starting to see an expansion of the Bollinger Bands here. So we call this the squeeze right here, when the Bollinger Bands squeeze together, and now they're starting to expand as we're testing new lows off of this trend right here. So before I get into that, let's go ahead and look at the higher time frame stuff, and then we'll zoom in. So the 3-day is also squeezing a good bit, but what's interesting is the Ichimoku cloud and what that reveals on stuff like the weekly, right? So weekly opened, the new weekly candle opened yesterday, and we have a new bearish twist on the Kumo, combined with this weak, we call this a weak bearish, that's horrible handwriting, sorry, weak bearish cross, when the slow moving average crosses the, when the fast moving average crosses the slow moving average. Just like the EMAs or just like SMAs, the Ichimoku has that sort of anatomy as well. You can think about it that way. And this is just like the equivalent of a death cross, but this is like a weak death cross. There are 3 different kinds. So there's the weak one, right? And there's one where if it crosses inside the cloud, and then the strongest one would be if it crosses below. Right now we have a weak, but we have a bearish twist. Bearish twist on the Kumo on the open of the weekly candle. So where's next immediate support on the weekly? Well, that's going to be right here on the 50 EMA. That's this guy right here, 50 EMA, which is what value? This is somewhere in there, like so 7,200 or so. And as we start to look at like the daily stuff, oops, why is that doing that again? I'm gonna get rid of the Ichimoku cloud and start to look at the lower time frames, like the 6 hour. And I'm gonna take off the EMAs and put this shit back on there. Disco show. Okay, so I'm not going to talk about this distribution trading range. The macro one, we've talked about this several times. I will just say this about it. So let's go ahead and pull you up. God damn it. Let me draw on my screen. If it'll let me draw on my screen, I will show you what I'm talking about. But sigh. Okay. So when you're thinking about a distribution trading range, it takes a couple of forms on a couple of different time frames. One of which is this macro one, right? One of which is the micro on like the 2-hour time frame or so. And you know, of course, it gets smaller and smaller. So one thing, oh man, I really want to draw on this. There we go. Okay. So here's the macro distribution, right? So it had a span of about, what is this? About 10K. So it had a span of about 10K from top to bottom. Ultimately it broke down, right? It had its first major sign of weakness right here. And this whole thing right here is basically a giant last point of supply. I originally thought that maybe this could be a potential accumulation trading range. This is why I labeled it as such. But it doesn't look to be that way, and I'll tell you why. So let's look at the 2-hour. So we see nested within this thing 2 distribution trading ranges inside it. So of course we see this one. We saw the markdown. Here's the supply and demand channel here. And then we saw another one right here, and this bears a striking resemblance to this, right? So we're seeing this sort of thing. So right now, this little lump right here, you know, you can think of it like this, or maybe even this, you know, this sort of activity that retests the breakout of the trading range. But ultimately, I mean, the resemblance between this trading range and this trading range, I mean, they can't really be ignored. They're both distribution trading ranges, which means that they lead into markdown. Obviously, the effects of this one's going to be way smaller than this one, but this is a distribution trading range nonetheless, which actually makes this little mini distribution a last point of supply for the bigger one. So what does that all mean? Basically, there's just a really strong argument for a move down. Long story short is there aren't too many bullish cases out there to be made. You know, we're pushing lower lows over the last few days. In the grand scheme of things, we haven't pushed lower lows because we see here, here, and here. Obviously, it's not lower lows, but we are coming in a test on macro fib lines. There's a macro fib line at 77.45. So maybe we test here before we see a bounce of any kind. But you can see here it's been a firm point of support a couple of times. So here, you know, 1, 2, 3. Maybe we'll see a fourth one here. But this is where I'm immediately seeing support is 7,700. And then below that, 7,200 is this confluence of fibs here, which also ended up being the weekly. This is the weekly 50 EMA. So it looks like we're going to see a continuation of the downtrend. I wouldn't be surprised to see more choppy shit in the meantime, you know, like this. I mean, we're just seeing markets like this on the way down, but overall, you know, it is going down. I mean, you can't really deny it. It's going down. But it's very choppy, and it's strategically choppy. So be careful, you know, be careful counter trend trading, and be careful trading inside the trading ranges, right? Like, you don't really ever want to trade inside here. You either want to take a position here or here. Inside is like the no trade zone, because you're just going to get chopped to shreds. You're going to get stopped out, and you're going to have a horrible time. So what's next? I'm expecting to find support on the 61 at minimum. I'm expecting to find support of the 61 if we continue down, which it looks like we're gonna do. So there's a confluence of support here on both the macro and the micro levels, so it makes sense. You know, it makes sense we're gonna find support right around here before the next, maybe the consolidation period of like a bear pennant. Maybe we bounce, make a double bottom and go up, maybe inverted head and shoulders. Something's gonna happen here. I don't think it's gonna be a clean break. But it wouldn't be the first time Bitcoin just kind of just shit its brains out, you know, like that. So this is going to be a really big point of interest right in here. So keep an eye out for that. Do you have any questions? You guys have any questions so far? What do you do after losing trade to shake it off? A number of things. I mean, tell myself that everyone makes losing trades. I mean, if you can't handle a losing trade, then man, you're in for a rough time if you're trying to be a trader, because losing trades is a big part of learning how to be a good trader. How important is parabola violation on the downside? I don't know what you mean by that. Question on Wyckoff. After last point of supply or even micro/Nessa distribution phases, is it likely to go directly to a flat/rising accumulation phase? Or can there be another B to B distribution phase? I mean, there's no like blanket answer for that question. You know, it's on a case-by-case basis. It's not just going to be like, this is what always happens or this is what always happens. You know, it's on a case-by-case basis. So if I trade strictly based on RSI 15 minutes, you think that's a good idea? No, I think that's a horrible idea. You should never trade based on just one indicator on one time frame. Are you bullish long-term, 1 to 2 years? In my opinion, 1 to 2 years isn't very long-term. So we have not even started accumulation? No, I don't think so. It's not showing signs that we're starting accumulation. It's still very volatile. We're pushing lower lows in a relative context. It's not showing signs that we're entering accumulation just yet. Maybe it will down the road. Maybe it'll reveal itself that we're actually in accumulation. But right now, it's very difficult to see an argument for accumulation. Here's the mini distribution we just did. You can see we obviously had a clean break of the bottom. We retested the breakout really nicely, actually. Damn. These retests have become so aggressive, man. It's just like what the hell is this? Like, what is this? It just jumps 500 bucks, you know, 8% market value. In 5 minutes, it just fucking jumps up. Like, what is this market? It's so bizarre. And then it immediately jumps back down. It's very weird. It's very hard to trade. Is the CEO just a bunch of Wall Street dudes manipulating the market, or is it psychology of the masses? No, it's a handful of market makers that have a lot of the market share, and they're moving the market. What do you think about dark pools? I don't think about dark pools. What do you think about dark pools? Why don't you tell me what you think? Any thoughts on which ERC20 tokens will be added to Coinbase? No, I haven't really given much thought to any. I'm not thinking about buying any coins right now. The fact that Bitcoin is just like tumbling downward, I have no interest in purchasing anything for a long-term hold other than Bitcoin so that I can margin short it on BitMEX. That's about all I'm interested in doing right now. I've heard rumors of ZRX and OMG. I mean, sure, why not? You know? It wouldn't surprise me if OMG got listed or BAT. Yeah. But I know I don't have an opinion either way. I think it's just all speculation at this point. That last rise on the Bitcoin 3-minute candles mimics classic Wyckoff distribution phase. Yep, sure does. Buying climax, up thrust, sign of weakness, last point of supply. No bounce either. Right before the stream, I opened a long, like right here, hoping to see for a bounce, or hoping for a bounce, but it's not looking likely. I thought maybe I'd get a quick scalp on there, but it's kind of just sitting there like a dead fish at the moment. So I might have to cut that little guy short. Can you talk through your strategy for building your short and how you take profit along the way? Man, that is a really long conversation. Not really one appropriate for the stream. That's more appropriate for, like, that's the kind of discussions that we have in my trading community. That's not really appropriate for the stream. If you're interested in joining my trading community, well, then you are in luck because we have a coupon code. For $50 off using the coupon code BearHug, you can join the trading community today if you'd like to have that discussion. Has shorting during the bear or longing during the bull been more profitable for you? Well, for sure, shorting during the bear is quicker profit for, I mean, undoubtedly. I mean, it moves down way faster, obviously, right? Approximately how many whales are thought to exist? I have no idea, dude. And how orchestrated are they together? I have no idea. Roughly how many trades do you make per week? It depends on the market. Like right now, I'm making probably a trade every 2 days, maybe. Because this market is trending like shit and I don't want to get chopped up. So I'm just like, you know, like making long-term relatively, right? Like for example, I opened a short somewhere in here and I closed it right around here. And that trade lasted a couple of days from the, yeah, open that short on the 25th sometime. Oh, no, actually I lied. I shorted in here somewhere. So that was the 24th. Yeah, so I had that short open for a couple of days. And now I'm hoping for a bounce down here because right now I'm a little sad that it's kind of just sitting there, which makes me think it's going to just fall through the support. But, you know, it's just a tiny little long. Just enough to get my gambling genes satisfied. Schmitcoin, this bear market will last months, right? Most likely. If I had to guess, I would guess months, for sure. BitMEX is open to US now? No, man. I don't live in the US. I live in... What do I live in? Singapore. I live in Singapore. Which exchanges do you use? Right now, I'm loving BitMEX. BitMEX is really great. If you're just not like if you don't have a gambling problem, then BitMEX is great. But if you have a gambling problem, then BitMEX will fuck you. It will fuck you up. And then for my alts, I'm using, well, right now, like I said, I'm not buying any alts at the moment, but, you know, I use GDAX, I use Bittrex, and then when it comes time to actually start like accumulating coins, then I'm gonna move over to Binance. But at the moment, I can't justify buying anything for a long-term hold, and so all my margin trading is done on BitMEX right now. So. Ah, there we go. Get a little bouncy poo. Nothing too crazy. Just a cute little bounce off the bottom with that little support line. Express VPN. I'm not sure what you're asking me, man. This is really interesting, though, because everyone's been saying, you know, it's altcoin season. But man, when Bitcoin's in a true bear market like what we're seeing right now, you see the altcoins aren't out to play because the people who own the Bitcoin and are pushing the price down on Bitcoin also own the alts, and they're pushing the alt prices down too. So, you know, just be careful what coins you see flying off the handle one day, because overall they're most likely not going to continue trending upward as long as Bitcoin's moving down. So that's just my word of caution to everyone who's trying to get some fat alt bags. Any other questions? This is a short stream. What are some of your favorite long-term projects? Dude, I don't know, man. Monero is super promising, right? Because it's like one of the few privacy coins that truly adopted privacy coins. Ethereum is obviously great. I really liked the thesis of BAT. I thought that was pretty cool with the Brave browser. But truth be told, I haven't really been doing my due diligence on these projects because, man, they just come in and out so fast. I like the thesis behind OMG. It's really cool. Omise Go. I thought that was a really great idea. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of really good ones that I'm eyeing to really stock up on when I think the bottom for Bitcoin is near. Why do you think Ether is performing so badly? Because everything's performing so badly. What do you mean? Every single coin is going down. Would you ever do a BitMEX tutorial? Maybe if you paid me, but not on a stream. I feel like that would be irresponsible to do that. Do you have a short setup target? I'm not sure what that means. Are there other indicators institutional investors are making big moves outside the market trend, i.e. watching large? I don't know. I don't sit there and stock large wallet addresses like a lot of people do. I find that to be a futile effort. Like, what is that really going to tell me anyway? I care about price action. That's all I care about. I don't care what these nerdy little whales are doing. How have the past few days played out in relation to your theory about the CEO using long margins to manipulate the price? Did the influx of longs close? Yeah, so here's a question. Oops. So we see here, on the way down, right, on the way down to our local bottom, we saw the longs stacking up, and now they're starting to close, but very interesting that the shorts are going down. So they really hit their high like right here, but they've just been bleeding out. I'm honestly not sure how I feel about it because both longs and shorts are going down, and the price is relatively range bound. So I don't know, man. Like, this whole theory, like using the longs and shorts, definitely isn't tradable yet. Like, I'm still feeling it out. But you can see, for example, here, here's a great example of when the CEO used the shorts to push the price down temporarily, so that when it came over here, he had a nice fat bag, and then when the price moved down, just slowly closed it out on the way down. But yeah, I mean, I don't have anything trade worthy to report back now, unfortunately. Ether is performing unusually worse than Bitcoin. No, it's not. It's performing just as bad as it always does. Look, here's the Ether Bitcoin ratio. It's not performing uncharacteristic. I mean, like, look, bear markets are not uncommon to Ether relative to Bitcoin. Look at this price. You see how it just bleeds out? See how it just bleeds out? Well, now it's doing the same thing. It's the circle of life, my dude. It is pretty oversold at the moment, given how far it is from the moving average. But it doesn't look like it has any sign of stopping. It looks really bearish at the moment. Thanks for your streams. Why do you live in Singapore? So I can trade on BitMEX, dude. Are there subtle indicators that market makers are trying to accumulate without drawing attention and keep the trend stable? Man, I've been playing around with that idea, but it just doesn't make sense. That's not how accumulation works. Accumulation is not as volatile as this, unless this is like some hybrid form of accumulation where we have one dude distributing and another guy accumulating, which is totally possible. But yeah, I don't think that's what's going on here. I think it's just distribution and people are in denial about it. Some on crypto Twitter claim chopping algorithms due to the plateau nature of the trading ranges. I mean, probably, but they're just doing standard trading ranges. Like, they're not doing anything fancy, anything that's like new. You know, I've been talking about this shit since last year. People didn't want to come to grips with the fact that like this was going to happen, and now it's happening. And now people are looking for reasons as to why it's happening instead of just saying, this is our life now. You know? Question, what are some of the better indicators you would recommend for using Wyckoff method? Volume and price movement is all I use. And Bollinger Bands. That's literally all I use for this Wyckoff stuff. What indicators would trigger a buy zone for Bitcoin for you? Man, I'm just using standard like classic supply and demand paired with support and resistance. So for example, like I opened my short here. I shorted somewhere in here because this was the top of the trading range, and I thought it was it looked like a distribution trading range, which it obviously was. And so I shorted near the top, right? Like I'm not going to try to long here like Parabolic Trav did. I'm going to short here because it's the top of a trading range, and we're in a downtrend, both on a macro and micro level. So, you know, top of the trading range is where you trade. You don't trade in the middle. I mean, look how volatile it is in here. It is just so volatile in here. So you want to trade on the top and wait for a breakout and find support for a long, or along the bottom hoping for a bounce. You know, like here was a great long opportunity. You see people tried to time a long here. It bounced and failed. This was the last point of supply, obviously. And yeah, and it's part of the reason why I opened a long here. Opened a long just before the stream, just because there's well-known support right down here. So basically just hoping that it doesn't break through support. And if it does, then I close, whatever, no big deal. But it is, I mean, like, for example, here's one way that you'd use the Bollinger Bands, right? So on a 60-minute view, you see that the Bollinger Bands are rounding, right here. I'll pull up my pen. So here's one easy way to use the Bollinger Bands. So we see that the Bollinger Bands are rounding here, which means that the Bollinger Band width is decreasing relative to the center line. We see that that we have well-known support down by the bottom, and Bollinger Bands tend to be, they're a predictor of volatility. And when the Bollinger Bands are curving downward, that means that downward volatility is decreasing. So you really wouldn't want to open a short here with the Bollinger Bands rounding like they are right here. So I'm just saying, okay, I'm going to take a long right in here and hope that if it does go red, you know, it'll find support here. But if it breaks through the Bollinger Bands and it continues downward, then so be it. You know, that's just part of trading. Not saying that's happening now. I'm talking about when we were at the bottom and they want to accumulate under the radar to avoid FOMO and get it cheap. Oh, yeah. I mean, you'll know when accumulation is happening, mostly because I'll be screaming about it on Twitter. And it's not going to just happen overnight. Like, accumulation, you really don't want to, like, I can't emphasize this enough. Like, you really don't want to fuck around in a trading range and just hope that you're getting in early on an accumulation trading range. That's not how you trade in a trading range, right? There are specific spots where you trade in a trading range And they're different for accumulation and distribution ranges. So you really don't want to try to predict that you're in an accumulation, because you could be horribly wrong and lose a lot of money, right? Or not make as much money as you could. There are a lot safer ways to play this market, and trying not to time the bottom is going to be one of them. You know, the trend is your friend. Market's going down. It's super volatile. Everyone's getting chopped to shreds. It's not, you know, just play it safe. Be patient. That's all you got to do. Play it safe, be patient, and you'll come out on top. It's really all it is. So here's a good question. Do you think once crypto Twitter stops being so bullish that it could be a good indicator that we've reached the bottom? Yeah, so there's an ongoing meme in the crypto community that you'll know the bottom is in when parabolic trav is bearish. We haven't seen true capitulation yet, right? Like, capitulation is a part of the market cycle because that's how it weeds out the shakeable of the bulls. Like, we're going to shake some out. And at the moment, we haven't had a capitulation yet. So if you look at like the 30-minute or the 6-hour view, there's nothing here that looks like capitulation. I suspect if we break this support level, that's where the real capitulation will hit, and that's where I'm anticipating, you know, major macro support here. You know, that's why I have it on my chart. This is my buy zone. This is where I'm looking to start buying. This is where I'm going to start considering buying for a long-term hold, for cold storage, that sort of dealio. There's a large confluence of support here, and it makes sense to me that like this would be a good candidate to begin looking. And right now, that's just, the current market is not the time for me personally. Why did you cover your short? Okay, here's a good question. Why did you cover your short if I think we're going down further? Because there's no telling how choppy this market can get, right? So you really have to, I don't know when the price is going to drop, right? Like, I'm not a crystal ball, but if this past market is any indication of how choppy it can get, I don't want to be shorting here, have the market come here, bounce up, and then be like well within striking distance of stopping me out. You know, like, I want to just take out and profit. If I know that this is going to bounce up, why would I not close my short here and reshort here? I had planned to reshort higher, truth be told, but you know, I had to step out. That was another reason why I closed here. I had a feeling this was going to happen, and I was going to open along there. I'm kind of glad I didn't, because obviously it just did a 100% retracement. But I closed here because I thought we were going to see a little bit higher chop, and I thought we were going to see a retest of maybe this breakout level, and that's really where I had my sells, was right here. But I think we might see a little bit of a bounce here. Maybe we hit here and retest the breakout there before continuing down. It's hard to tell, but it's very, very fucking choppy. And if I'm trading, like, you know, I'm holding positions for 1 to 2 days, then I'm going to close it out when I think we're on support. There's no sense in watching it bounce up and then go down. Like, I want to catch the tops. I don't want to get stopped out by the tops. You know what I mean? When do alts accumulate in relation to Bitcoin? I don't know how to answer that. Some alts peaked long after Bitcoin peaked and was on its way down. Curious if the strategy is to get Bitcoin during accumulation while alts continue to fall and buy alts late. Most likely it's going to be the opposite, actually. I think alts will most likely bounce before Bitcoin does. I think Bitcoin's going to have a sustained accumulation period. So that's my opinion. My opinion is that in order for Bitcoin to really have another bull market, it's going to have to see a large accumulation period, like 1 to 2 months, 3 months, something like that. One that really grinds down investors and makes them hate their life. You know what I mean? Anyway, a lot of you guys are asking good questions, good trading specific questions. You know, if this is the kind of stuff that you're interested in learning, I highly recommend joining my trading community at bitcoinschmitcoin.com. For the next few weeks, we're gonna continue doing this this coupon code for $50 off. It's Bear Hug is the coupon code, and that works for the membership packages as well. So if ever you were curious about joining the trading community, now is the time to do it. That's all I got for you guys right now. I mean, it's very range bound. I'm expecting support for the next like little mini bounce around here. Obviously, I could be proven wrong, and we could just blast right through it. But you know, well known support there. That's where the 50 EMA is for the weekly, so it makes sense to me. Anyway, I'll probably do another stream at the end of the week. I really like the Monday and Friday sort of thing, so we can get an even distribution of you know, coverage on the market. But anyway, you guys have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.